Hey guys, you're listening to the podcast with Dino and Michelle. I am Pastor Matt, the father from the Father and Son Watch Horror Movies podcast. I listen to this podcast every week, and you should too.
Test two, test. Make mock, huh? Bye.
I can't follow that up.
This is Gang Alley Media, where faith, family, and pop culture collide like a bloody train wreck. Hey everybody, we are back. Our podcast.
Where'd we go?
I don't know. We go into our little hidey hole, but
I thought we might dissipate into the ether.
I would say so, but I'm always on social media, so there's proof of my existence a little bit. I tweet, therefore I am.
Well, I'm on social media too, but
Yeah.
not in the podcast circles.
No.
Life goes on
Oh,
without me.
'cause I ain't got nobody. Nobody. Bop. Was the bop. Did a bop.
I could make a comment. But
It's always a good day when you can jump into some old David Lee Roth. But, you may have noticed, our podcast, we changed our name.
to Hot Podcast.
We are now our podcast. We dropped a couple of U's. So,
No, we didn't drop any of you.
y'all might have dropped off, but I think, no, we are, just for ease of
Finding us.
we are HUH. We might toy around with our logo a little bit. The other U's were little, where the other one's big, so it was more of a phonetic. It didn't, it was like, huh? It accentuated that. So, we're still Podcast. But, hope everybody is doing good. We, been busy this week. We posted 3 different YouTube videos. All revolving around heat and eating hot stuff.
Like this cappuccino here?
Like
that type of hot?
No. Spicy hot. But, well, you're not drinking it out of the hot podcast mug.
I'm not.
No. And I've got a coffee here, and neither am I right now. So
What's wrong with you?
we're perpetrating a fraud. But, yeah, so check those out. 3 videos. Killian is involved in all of them. And this is part of the Killian on Fuego series, Killian on Fire, where he challenges himself and eats spicy stuff. So we have the hot sauce challenge, then we have the fiery hot Cheeto challenge, and then the addendum to that. So those are up now on YouTube. Check them out. Also, he and I have, well, I can't say he and I will say he has a podcast
That he invited you.
that he invited me to be a co-host on, and a test subject, because he wants to introduce me to anime, which I've watched a little bit here and there. I've never gotten involved in like big series or anything.
He's watched what? He said like 44?
Something like that.
In the last 2 months?
Like 4 months. Yeah.
I mean, relatively short amount of time, like 2 or 3 months. I don't even think it went out 4.
Plowing, right? He's plowing through.
No, I mean he admitted a lot of them were only like 1 season,
right?
And a season's only 10 episodes,
right?
So it's easier to plow through,
right? But so he wants to get me involved, and hey, if that's the way I can bond with him, and that's his teenage boy love language, then hey, I'll dive in and do that, and you'll hear all about it. That is the Hybrid Anime podcast. It is now up. I know it's on Podbean, Spotify. I submitted it to Stitcher. So check those out. That'd be fun. Mm-hmm. So
he wants us to go to Japan too.
Yeah.
He's like pushing it hard.
Yeah, I want to go to Japan, which, I mean, 15, 20 years ago, we were all for because we were really big into the J-horror.
Well, I mean, I'm not against it now.
No, I'm not.
Just financially.
Yeah, it's like, okay, dude, Florida's a couple $100, and we could...
Well, yeah, that's what he said. He goes, well, let's not go to Florida. Let's go to Japan. It's like, the two are not anywhere near.
You're talking, a lot more money. But, yeah, so... I told you
Miko, of course, wants to go.
Yeah.
Because she wants to go to the Hello Kitty stores.
Yeah.
And she wants to ride the Hello Kitty train. And if you guys have not ever checked out the Hello Kitty train, Google it. It is a very cool train.
Yep. It is. It's very cute. And TT doesn't want to, but I don't think she understands that is like where the heart of Kauai is. I think if she knew that, she would want to go too.
Well, why have we not said that to her?
I don't know. Because we don't want to spend tens of thousands of dollars going to Japan.
Oh, yeah, because at that point we'd have 3 kids begging us to go.
Yeah.
Well, she was in 7th heaven today. We started our new co-op.
Yeah.
Started for their winter session today. And she's got 3 classes at the co-op, and 2 of them are art related. Oh. So she's like in 7th heaven.
So it's art, what, and then art?
Art, American Sign Language, and then art.
Oh, okay. Yes.
But I think the arts are like differentiating. One of them is, like an arts skills class. Okay. And the other one, they are doing art, but it's teaching about different artists and their genre. And I don't know if that's the right word, but anyway. So they're 2 art classes, but they've got a different focus.
Okay.
So,
cool.
From what I understand, but no, it was this co-op's actual first day, and because it was like 4 families just kind of getting together and doing it, and they expanded it out to I think 12 families now, and so it was a rather large group, and it was good. I enjoyed it.
Cool. And what Killian was doing?
Chess. Then a class about insects.
About insects and bugs, which I was invited to come by at the end of the session and do a thing on pest control.
Right.
Right.
Because right now I think they're focusing on. I mean, all insects have some role somewhere.
Yeah.
But I think she said at the end it would be kind of cool to talk about what pests are dangerous that we don't want around,
right?
And how we
not all
they all have a place in the chain of life.
Yeah, but when they're invading your space is when they become pests,
right?
Obviously,
right.
That hence the word pest,
right? So that's when so she had invited you for that. So he said that class was interesting. He talked about the praying mantis a lot. I mean, we've had a few here at the house, and they're really cool looking.
They really are.
So, but yeah, so she said he enjoyed that. And then the last class is not necessarily his favorite thing, Legos. Mm-hmm. He's never been a Legos kid, ever. But he's in there with 3 of his friends. They've become like fast buddies, it seems.
Yeah.
They're all kind of like finishing each other's jokes or, yeah, so that was nice. And I'm just kind of floating, helping different people at different areas.
Cool.
It's nice.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've talked, with him, with the Legos. He's never, we've, even as a little kid, Hot Wheels or Matchbox cars. Or, I mean, we had a huge, table for Hot Wheels and
we had the table, we had the rug, we had a bunch of things, and he never got into that. We were watching a video a couple of weeks ago about his first Christmas, and he'd gotten a huge bag of those Duplos, which are the big Legos. He never even really played with those all that much. That just wasn't his thing.
Yeah, but as soon as
he made a stick.
Yeah, I made a stick.
Somebody else had brought in. They had started working on it before class, and they had like most of it done for a X-wing fighter, and somebody else built a house, and they had like a Grogu on the top of it with. And he made a stick.
I made a stick. It's a wand, you know. Yeah.
But hey, while we're talking about things he played with as kids.
Yeah. I had started and almost finished my new collection of the retro Masters of the Universe figures. If you've looked on our Facebook group or Instagram or Twitter, I've put those. I have those.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've been feeling guilty that you spent so much money on my Christmas present. I got you a beard kit. So we've been buying little by little.
Yeah, so I have He-Man, Teela, Beastman, and Skeletor. So then I need Evelyn, Man-at-Arms, Battle Cat. And those are the ones I've, physically seen of that collection.
You told the kids you wanted the whole rack and everything.
Oh, I want that. In Walmart, they've got this big. I'm about 6 foot tall, so it's got to be 6.5, because it's a little taller than I am. Mm-hmm. Cardboard standee that looks like Grayskull. And I want that.
We have no room in the house.
Oh, I know. Remember when we went? We've got a buttload of antique shops in our area, in Newberry, Prosperity, whatever. And
it's like the antique capital.
Yeah, I think it was like last year. We had went into a antique shop, and they had a bag of toys and a Castle Grayskull in the bag. And I'm like, oh. And it's like my jaw dropped and my eyes widened. I'm like, oh. There was no price on it, but I'm like, oh. So it was coming up, a couple of days before my payday. Mm-hmm. And we were like, oh, okay, well, when payday comes, we'll hope and pray that it's still here. And we were downtown for the run for the 5K that day anyhow.
Right.
And we were setting up a booth for our running organization that we were part of for the kids. So we had gone in there. I'm like, well, let's see if we can get it now. And it turns out that they had sold all of it the day before at an auction. But I was like, oh, that was like heartbreaking. Because the one guy's like, oh yeah, we have it. And I'm like, you do? And then he's going through and, hey, where's that thing? Oh, we sold it at the auction yesterday. I'm like, oh. And it's like, hopes and dreams like smashed.
Dashed against the rocks.
Yeah. And the same thing now with, the arcade 1-up machines. I have one. I have the 12-in-1 Atari game. I have a couple of videos of that up on YouTube. And I think it was 2 years ago, they came out with the Star Wars one. The old Vector Graphics Star Wars game. And it had Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi on it for, I think it was like $4.25 or something. And then they had the stand-up cabinet, but they also had the one that you could sit down and play. I'm like, oh, so 2 years ago we weren't in a financial spot to afford that. And like, well, maybe it'll go down in a while. Well, 2 years later, I can't find one anywhere. And when I do find one, they're like $600, $700. And it's like, on like eBay. And it's like, eBay used to be the place where you can find stuff for cheap and bid on and get it under, before Amazon, before everybody was buying everything online,
If through eBay.
Taking the, the thrill of the hunt and the bargain hunting and all that. And
I'm finding the thrill of the hunt online.
Well, I would find the thrill of the hunt online if it wasn't $700 damn.
Well, see, I'm looking for really cheap furniture, so.
Right. And you're doing it on Facebook where you can go out and pick it up even. Hey, if someone on Facebook has an arcade one-up Star Wars machine
I'll let
in
you
this
know.
area,
I haven't seen one yet, but
to
I'll
be
let you know.
going. But it got me thinking about, things that we collected as kids. Because I had a lot of He-Man growing up. That was probably the first... I had Star Wars. I had, all... But I think the He-Mans were the first ones that I really gravitated toward. I loved the movies of Star Wars, and I knew all that, and I had the books. But as far as the action figures, the big, because you can, really manhandle them and do all that. So I had those, and Castle Grayskull as a kid. So it got me thinking, about your first... Because you can nerd out about anything. Anything that you have a passion for, you can be nerdy on. So, how about you? Did you have anything that you kind of nerded out on?
The only thing that I can really think of, I would have complete book series and stuff,
Right.
Different things like that. I think there was one like the Sisters Club or some,
Babysitters?
No, not Babysitters Club. It was Sisters something.
Okay.
I had that whole thing, and I was big on Cabbage Patch Kids for a while, and I think I had maybe 5 or 6 of those, which, I guess is a collection.
Oh, yeah.
But the one thing that I really had what you would call a substantial collection of, watched the cartoon every time it was on, and my grandfather actually went and made a case for me to display them all on my wall in my room, but the Smurfs.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if people remember them, but they had the little plastic characters, and they had a ton of why can't I remember her name right now? Smurfette.
Right.
I had her one where she was sitting at a vanity doing little,
Right.
and I had another one where she was doing this, and then we had all the different, I had one on a sailboat and one eating ice cream, and
Right.
I think I had at least 200 of those little guys. There wasn't enough room on what my grandfather made me to display all of them.
'Cause
I displayed my favorite ones up there, and then
right. Theoretically, there were 100 Smurfs or something like that.
Something like that. At that time, now there's even more. But,
Yeah.
But at that time, yeah, and my grandmother kept a written list of which ones I had, so when they would be out shopping or whatever.
Now, were they numbered or specially numbered, or you just kind of?
I don't think so.
Okay.
We just,
I wrote,
I gave her a general description, like sailboat or
baker.
Yeah, I had a baker one, and I had one playing a bass drum, and so I would just keep a really simple note like that. I still wound up getting doubles because the list itself was so big to, she carried it in her pocketbook, so she always had it, but it was so big to kind of look through.
Yeah.
So I did wind up getting doubles, even of that. But as we're talking, I remember something else I collected. And I don't know if you would, I know this was a thing with the girls, but those bracelets where you could buy the different charms.
Yeah.
To put on them.
Oh, plastic.
Yeah. Had little, you could put them all around all around. I actually had a belt. I had the bracelet, I had a belt and a necklace that you could just get all those different little, they had a harmonica and a guitar and a lipstick.
Like a little boombox or something.
Yeah, a little boombox.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I don't know how many of those I had.
Yeah, I didn't have any because it was
geared,
but I was interested in girls and they had them. So.
those should make a comeback.
Yeah.
I think girls nowadays would fall in love with them too. I mean, they were fun because you could collect all the, I think I had like a dog and a cat and
right.
I mean, there's so many things they could make with those now. I could see them selling them in Claire's again.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know if you would say that I geeked out on those things,
right.
but
yeah,
I certainly collected them.
Yep. We'll dive a little more into this after our
commercial break.
Commercial break.
Welcome to Victims and Villains. This is the channel where we talk nerd, we talk hope, and we speak nothing else. I'm your host, Captain Nostalgia, and I'm so glad that you're here to join us.
Victims and Villains is a podcast and YouTube channel that marries pop culture and suicide prevention, producing content with the intent to let people know that there is hope and that there is a better way, and that each and every listener has value and worth.
Listen to Victims and Villains on your favorite podcast catcher or on YouTube by searching for Victims and Villains. Also, check out their website, victimsandvillains.net.
Looking for a new podcast? Check out the Infectious Groove podcast. My name is Russ, and I host the show along with Michelle and Kyle. Every Monday, the three of us bring you music news and tell you our jammy jams, so you'll always have new music to check out. The Infectious Groove podcast discusses music from nearly every decade and genre while openly displaying our passion for music you need to hear. On top of that, we have a thought-provoking main topic of discussion every week to get you thinking, discussing, and sharing music. We also include interviews with the music stars of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all major podcast platforms. Subscribe and listen to the Infectious Groove podcast on your favorite podcast platform today.
Hi there, this is the Manster, one of your humble hosts from Pine of Comics podcast. What is Pine of Comics, you say? Fair question. Pine of Comics is a weekly pop culture podcast with a mission. A mission to explore humankind's greater geekdom and report our findings back to you listeners every week. We explore movies, games, TV shows, comics, local events and conventions, and so much more. We'll tell you just what we think of all the stuff that makes life fun, or at least bearable, and hopefully make you laugh, chortle, cackle, bust a gut, or even just chuckle while doing it. So join me and my fellow host, Ganache, every week. You'll find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, or whatever podcatching app you like to stuff inside that little phone of yours. Listen in.
Good job, Michelle.
You left me no choice. You gave me that look like you're doing it.
Like you want to do it? I always do it. They want to hear someone else for a change.
They don't want to hear me.
But, yeah, I opened this question up on social media with Twitter and Facebook.
You're still on Twitter?
Oh, yeah. Ain't nobody kicking me off Twitter. I keep my mouth to myself here.
Still on Facebook? You didn't move to like Parler or MeWe?
I did, but now Parler's gone. Dang liberals.
Yeah, I did move to MeWe though. Not moved, but.
Well, you had MeWe.
Yeah, I've had MeWe for a year and a half, and nobody was over there.
I never even knew it was a thing. But I heard it's like pay for play things, like you got.
I've never done that. I mean, I've used it the same as you use Facebook. There's pages, and you join people's pages. But when I went back there to go look at it, I had like my notifications were like 99 plus on the two pages I had.
Oh, yeah, I don't even.
No, I mean the 99 plus notifications for the two pages that I had joined.
Yeah.
Not that I had, but that I had joined. And one of them was all about lizards.
Lizards?
Oh. Well, I think at the time that I joined MeWe, I had wanted us to get a pet lizard.
Oh, well, you never mentioned that to me.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, did I shoot it down real quick?
Yes.
Okay, well, then you did mention it to me.
I still would like a lizard. Actually, I think I was looking at turtles, too, at the time.
I like turtles.
I like turtles.
I do like turtles.
Even have a turtle tattoo.
I know. The turtle I bought you.
Yes.
Yeah.
We were supposed to get 2. Call him Cuff and Link.
Yes.
But we got 1. And
call
we named him Dewey.
The Greater Tuin.
The Star Turtle.
After Discworld series.
Unfortunately, he didn't live as long as he was supposed to.
No.
I have a feeling that was my fault.
Yep.
I think we left him out when it was too cold.
Yeah, I'm not...
Well, no, because
we had moved here, but it was still... It was like...
I don't know.
When we were transitioning, so it was like May, June.
Yeah.
We never were able to move him here because we ended up burying him here.
Right. That's how he moved here.
Yeah. Good God.
You know, bury him in a place he never lived.
Yep. Where the heck?
I'm killing time, guys.
Yeah. I can't.
I would still like to get another turtle, though. I actually want to get a tortoise, not a turtle. I want a land tortoise. And build like a habitat in the backyard.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, since we live in South Carolina, we'd have to bring him in.
Yeah.
During the winter.
Yeah, because it does get cold.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying that you geek out on turtles and tortoises?
I guess.
I'm trying to keep it within the theme of the episode here.
Well, I got a tattoo of it, so I geek out on that, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, poker. I geek out on poker.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although I never get to play it anymore.
For a long time, we were heavily poker geeks.
We were introduced to it by a friend who was trying to open up a poker club in Florida.
Yep.
And he invited us over because he wanted to see how it would, how he could get it to work. And I had never played before, and I got hooked that night.
Mm-hmm.
Within 6 months, I was playing games to try and get into the World Series of Poker. I came close.
And then less than a year, you were dealing.
Yeah.
For a poker league.
Yeah. First in Florida, and it was just like a local league. But then when we were in Tennessee, I started dealing for a national league that was owned by Doyle Brunson.
Yeah.
So, that I enjoyed all it. And one of the places that I was responsible for holding the league was Coyote Ugly.
Mm-hmm.
So that was fun.
It was partially owned by Doyle and partially owned by Chris Moneymaker.
Yes, he had a stake in it too.
Yeah. So, and we actually got to play against Chris Moneymaker.
I bluffed him.
You bluffed him, yeah. He complimented your bluff.
I bluffed a champion of the World Series of Poker. Ha ha.
Mm-hmm.
I got a tattoo of that too.
Yeah.
Got a tattoo of a turtle. Tattoo of poker cards.
Yep. Pocket fours.
Pocket fours. 4-4.
Yeah.
Because I got help. I got dealt pocket fours 4 times in one game.
Yeah.
Like sitting at one sitting, and each time I got the pocket fours, I wound up quadding the fours.
Yeah.
So I had 4 fours 4 times in one game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, 4 fours 4 times in one game deserves a tattoo.
Right.
And then I figured when I started dealing, I'm like, I always have cards up my sleeve.
Right.
But no, for a while there, we were playing, 6 nights a week at least, if not 7.
Yeah.
I don't think there was... I was actually into it more than you were. There were some nights where you said, yeah, you can... You told me I could go, and you stayed home because you were tired.
Well, in Florida...
In Florida, no. You always were with me.
Yeah, when we were in Tennessee...
Yeah.
And I was doing a lot more working...
Yeah.
At my job there.
They were running you ragged, so there were some nights you're like, I'm going to stay home and sleep, you go play.
Yep.
So I did.
Yep. I can't find the ones on Twitter, but I think the people on Twitter, most of them, did it on Facebook. So
all right.
I will.
So move over there.
I will move over
and
there.
I can stop babbling.
Yeah. No, it was all interesting, though. I promise. Mm-hmm.
My goal was when we moved to South Carolina, I wanted to start a poker league.
Yeah, we had a whole plan
Oh,
written out, and then we came here and found out that playing cards is illegal. Now,
yet they sell cards in all the stores.
right. So solitaire is not.
Yeah, you can play solitaire, but you can't play anything against anybody else.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah, I don't.
Oh, I'm hoping that.
Yeah, I mean, when we came here, though,
they still had blue laws and everything.
They had blue. I mean, when we first came here, they were blocking off all the soft line stuff at Walmart. Even
that was all part of Blue Lines, right?
Like, you couldn't buy anything except for food
on Sundays.
On Sunday.
Yeah.
Like, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, they lifted that not long after we moved here.
Yeah.
And then they lifted the ban on alcohol sales on Sunday.
Yeah.
Now, there are some places that still won't sell alcohol on Sunday. Even though it's now legal, they still won't do it.
Right.
But, yeah. So I still am holding out hope somewhere that eventually they'll lift the ban on, like, private poker playing.
Yeah.
I mean, because all of our stuff has been sitting in the closet. I mean, because we haven't wanted to do anything because we've even heard the stories about, I think it was up in Greenville, about law enforcement officers who were playing and got in trouble for it. So we've been really...
What?
And I miss it.
Yeah, you and me both.
And we can't say it's all that, too. It's the kids, too. When we had the kids, it kind of stopped us from being able to go. Because most of it was at bars and stuff, so...
Yeah, so... Yeah, okay. The question I posted was, what was the first thing you nerded out over? Tell your tale. You know?
I've told, 4 tales?
So you told yours. I told one of mine. Our buddy Justin McLean, friend of the show, has been on the podcast.
Okay.
Said Godzilla. From the first time my brother brought Godzilla vs. Megalon home as a gift until right now, as I eagerly await Godzilla vs. Kong, which the trailer dropped yesterday, and it looks good. It does. It looks good. That's going to be going in theaters and going right to HBO Max. So, one more reason to get HBO Max. And coincidentally, Godzilla vs. Megalon is my favorite Godzilla movie. It is really fun. And I told him that. And he goes, it's quite possibly the most fun that one can have in an hour and a half, he says. And I think that's pretty funny because, you know, Justin, we have a lot in common.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the two of us and Justin and his wife and then us. And, you know, both Justin and I this year for Halloween dressed up as not only Jason Voorhees, but Sackhead Jason Voorhees. So...
We should have a contest. Who did it better?
No. And then we have...
what is it? Who wore it better? Is that...
I guess. Who wore it better? Yeah. And then we have Big Bill Van Vagel. He's from Land of the Creeps podcast. He says he's not sure if this counts, but sports.
Okay.
It was my first love, both playing and watching. Hockey, football, basketball, soccer, baseball, Olympics, whatever. If there's a competition, he'll watch it. He played hockey from age 5 to 16 competitively. He's Canadian, by the way.
Okay.
And played and coached soccer most of my life. Now I also play too much fantasy sports, which fantasy football, and I've said this before, is D&D for people who used to beat on people who play D&D. So that's my theory. Nothing geekier than fantasy sports. And I'm talking to my brother who does fantasy sports. So there you go, Dave. And I told him, I said, everything is nerdy if you're passionate about it. What else we have? Tyler Romine, our good friend. Being more of a geek, jock and a geek himself, it was BMX bikes and racing. I never raced myself, but he would always go to the track and watch his friends, along with, they would build makeshift tracks and vacant lots and all that. He loved building his own bikes. He'd find old discarded bikes, tear them apart and build them back up. So it was really the first thing. And then he became video games.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I did a lot of video games, too. I was like Mario. Yeah. I would play like Mario till I had blisters on my fingers.
Yeah, and video games was a big thing. I mean, we had the old Pong.
Okay.
And then we had Combat, which was like 2 joysticks that you would move like a tank. And then we had the Atari 2600. Had a buttload of games for that. And then my dad, and this is the thing about coming from divorced parents. Because the other parent, who was the non-custodial one, would try to make their house more fun for the weekend. So he would have like Intellivision, which was, it was a cut above, but for some reason wasn't nearly as much fun for me. But he also got us ColecoVision with the Atari adapter. And I love ColecoVision. So we had the ColecoVision and all the games, and then we had the Atari tapes for that. And, pole position, steering wheel, and all that stuff. So that was really cool. But Joey DiCarlo from So Wizard podcast, he said, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, the best Saturday morning cartoon, which you can see on Disney Plus. Is a great show. He had started reading comics the year it debuted, and it was like crack for me as a young nerd. There were actual characters from across the whole Marvel universe, not just Spidey, like in the 60s cartoon reruns. It was like a comic book come to life, he said. Josh Berkey from Victims and Villains podcast, he said film. He had just gotten the internet, and his grandmother was diagnosed with cancer, so it was a rough time. It started off as an escape, and my gosh, if it didn't grow into full-blown obsession quickly after. And then I just now realized how much older I am than you. Because, the internet when the internet became a thing, I was really like in college. I remember a professor going, oh, well, if you didn't get your assignment, you can still email it to me. And I raised my hand and said, what's an email? Because I didn't know. That was 92. But
by then I was doing the predecessor to social media. I was finding like these pages that you could talk back and forth to people, but usually like a conversation would take you over a week.
No.
Well, then again, that's because I'm long-winded and we wrote like letters. It wasn't email, but we would like write these long letters.
It's like your Facebook theological responses. You can deny it. You're gonna TL.
No. Yeah, I get
DNR.
TLDR. Too long, didn't read. What? It's only 190 words.
Yeah. Not even characters, words. Yeah. Twitter is not the place for you, honey.
I have a Twitter account that I don't think I've been on in like 3 years because I know that Twitter's not for me.
But
well, speaking of that, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I just saw something here. I'm going to break into this because this kind of will go on that. I see a meme here where it says, okay, this is from the Message Bible. Mama, I'm hungry. Okay, that's what the Message Bible would say.
Okay.
The Amplified would say, Mummy, I'm hungry. And then in parentheses, famished, starving. The NIV says, Mother, I am hungry. The KJV says, henceforth let it be known unto thee, birth giver, that my belly consists of emptiness. So it's like, yeah, I'd be the KJV with the 10 million words.
But yeah, film is something I've always loved. From a little kid. Yeah. I mean, and I look back going, as a kid, and variety was not, the world wasn't really our oyster as kids when it came to movies or...
Right.
If you were watching HBO, it was, on Golden Pond or Swamp Thing.
Okay.
That was pretty much, but on Golden Pond to this day is one of my favorite movies, As a little kid, I was watching 9 to 5, a little more adult fare, but just, I always loved film, no matter what kind, I was one of those people that could memorize the line with the direct cadence and,
Well, you've instilled that in our children, too.
Yep, and I've always been a fan of, like, that guy. Hey, that guy. And we should probably do, I think one of our topics that we'll do one time soon will be, like, that guy. Who's your favorite that guy? I think that would be a fun thing. We have a few more.
Okay.
Jason Handelman, PB and Jason, said Justin beat him to it, but Godzilla was the first nerd out. But he's going back to like Ultraman, which was right at the same time, and just as nerdtastic. Monster of the Week, gotta love it. Johnny Ganache from Pino Comics said Star Wars. He was just the right age because I think he's a year younger than us. I think.
Who?
Johnny Ganache.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I think he's just a year younger than us. The toys in the film enveloped my childhood. The first thing I completely obsessed over. I get it. Todd Harvey. He said Ultraman. He was glued to TV every Saturday morning. Great. What they thought at the time was special effects, amazing storylines, and the hero was eminently human. So good humor involved, interspersed with action. And I think they've all come out now through Mill Creek. I think that Ultraman has come out on DVD. I should have hit on them when they were sending me stuff, but I missed that book. But guys, I thank you for answering the questions and getting involved in the talk.
So yeah.
Yeah. Because I was trying to keep it light. Because, things are getting real sticky out there.
Yes.
I don't know another word. I really don't. It's been getting, and I've been bouncing with how do you, because we are about being decent, how do you balance being decent with being just hella fed up with it all? And trying to remain cool while wanting to tell people that you would normally think you agree with, or maybe not agree with, but you thought that you were aligned with?
Can I tell you how I've done it?
Yeah, what?
I've just kept my mouth shut.
Okay.
I mean, at this, and I may at some point talk, you know, but at this point, I think the only way that I can personally do it and not get to a point where it's a clash is just to keep my mouth shut. There have been several times where I have started typing out a comment to somebody, to what somebody says on Facebook, and I've gotten into the habit of reading it, asking myself, is this going to be productive? Is this going to further the conversation in a positive way? And every time I've had to answer no. You know, no matter how I ask the question, I just have to answer no, and I wind up erasing it and moving forward. There are a few people, which I love this feature on Facebook, I've muted for 30 days. Well, I don't think you mute them. It's just, you know, that might be the way that
you can like hide them.
Yeah, right. where you're pretty much taking them out of your algorithm so you don't see their posts. Now, if I wanted to go look at their posts, if I wanted to go to their page and look at what they're posting, I can absolutely do that. Their posts just won't show up on my feed.
Right.
And I've had to do that to a couple of people. I think they're great people. I love them. But, you know, it's just us talking right now would not be a good thing.
Yeah. I love some of them like family.
Well, that was subtle.
Yeah. But it's like...
And it's like you get what they're saying. And on some level, you agree with them.
Right.
But it's the way they're saying what they're saying. Or they're now doing things that for the last 4 years they ridiculed other people for doing.
Right.
But now they're doing it.
Right.
And it's like, what? Huh? Wait a minute.
Right. Well, it's funny because they were doing it. I'm trying to plug in my computer. They were doing it for 8 years before. Then, they were criticizing the people who were doing it for the last 4. Now, they're going back to doing it before and going, blah, 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 you know? And it's like...
Okay, in particular...
And then...
I'll go there and say, in particular, it's the not my president.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Just as Trump was their president when they said not my president, Biden is your president.
Yes.
Sorry, it's that simple.
Yeah.
You know, you and I've actually had a few friends, and I still haven't commented on because, you know, I agree 100% with what they're saying.
Right.
But a comment isn't going to further anything. It's not going to. But I have been glad to see some people say, you know, I don't agree with all of Biden's policies, but I'm going to support him. And, you know, I'm glad to see some of those posts.
Right. Well,
I'm sorry, am I going into too much more detail than you had wanted to go to?
No, not necessarily. Well, here's one, and I'm... Let me see if I can find it. Because I don't know this person that posted this.
Okay.
So I will talk about this one.
Okay.
Because it is on a... Am I still part of this site? Yeah, I am. I thought I...
Oh, yeah, no, I got off that site a long time ago.
Yeah. Well, this one pissed me off. Now, you guys know... I am unapologetically Christian. You know, well, I'm not telling you because you know, because you're my wife and we're a Christian family.
I'm out of here.
Right. And, you know, we probably have I would venture to say 50-50 split in our listenership of Christians and non. I wouldn't say a 50-50 split in Republican to Democrat, but because I believe that we have some Christians who are more left-leaning.
You see, I was going to say, that's a big misnomer. Everybody, there's like this thought out there that every Christian is a right-winger.
Is a right-winger, right.
No, I actually have plenty of Christian friends who are very hard left-leaning.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm actually really enjoying our series at church about how to be a good neighbor. Yeah. And one of the things that was said this weekend was, about respecting your neighbor and, no matter what their beliefs are.
Yeah.
I was going to go somewhere different with that, but now I can't remember exactly where I was going, so I apologize.
But, yeah, and if you guys, even you're the non-Christians, go on the East Lake online.
Yeah, and listen to this series. It is a really good series.
And it is. It's preaching how to be decent. Yeah. How to be a neighbor, not a preacher, but a neighbor.
Not going out to evangelize to everybody, but just going out to be a good neighbor.
Because wasn't that even Rob's point? We weren't called to preach to people.
Right.
We were called to love on people, not preach to people.
If preaching happens while you're loving, well, then, that's what happens. But
you're there to love them first and foremost.
Right.
I can't even find that one. But it was a post, unless you took it down, which, boy, if they took it down, great. But it was a thing about praying for the leaders.
Okay.
And the crux of it, I hate to do it because I don't want to misrepresent what they were really saying and putting my own emotion into it.
Right.
But what the crux of what they were saying was, yes, we will pray for them, but we will pray that they learn, their eyes are open to the evil that they're perpetrating, and this and this and this, and and they're using scripture in the prayer, but it's like Deuteronomy here, and then Proverbs from here.
Right, and it's not even, sometimes it's not even the full verse.
It's not even the full, right, it's like full, right. Mm-hmm. And it's like, no, God did not call us to grab 9 or 10 pieces of scripture.
To cut and paste things together.
Throw it together, throw enough shit against the wall, and pray it sticks.
Right.
As a prayer to condemn our government.
Right. Well,
that's not what the Bible meant where God said to pray for your leaders. Mm-hmm. But yet, and these are otherwise loving Christians that are supposed to be exemplifying the love of Christ and Christ,
right,
Christ-likeness. And I've said this again, I've said it before on this podcast. So many people have this gripe against God and against Christianity when they really don't. They don't have the gripe again. They think they do, and I understand why you think you do. So I guess this would bring back, hear what I'm saying, not what I'm not saying. But what you have a problem with is not biblical faith.
Right.
You have a problem with what's been fed to you by Christians who don't understand biblical faith. Right. They are misrepresenting God to you, and that is what you are against. And I don't blame you for that.
Right. If that's the only knowledge I had, that's what that's
exactly.
Right.
I get it. Mm-hmm. I was listening to a podcast today, and I had an atheist on there. He's a philosopher, an atheist, fascinating guy. I enjoyed listening to the podcast. But everything that he was talking about, as far as what people, and a lot of them are churchgoers, a lot of the things that he says that people believe and is not what the Bible says. It's not. We'll die and become angels. No.
Bible doesn't say that.
Bible doesn't say that we become angels. Sorry, it doesn't. Bible doesn't say good people go to heaven and bad people go to hell. Doesn't say that. The Bible doesn't even say if Jesus is your Savior, you go to heaven, and if He's not, you go to hell. I will put it out there, and the Christians could be mad at me for that one. I don't read that. I don't read that.
The Bible never teaches of an immortal soul.
So these are the things
so
that...
many...
Yeah. Well, we're going to lose our Christian audience now, too. We're going to have 7 people loving this podcast.
That's fine.
You know what? We're here to...
To what you were talking about, I was having a discussion with somebody, really right before we came on here. And I think this is what is lost a lot of time, especially in the wanting to cherry pick from Deuteronomy and then Psalm and then Leviticus, is they forget that like 90% of the Old Testament and a lot of the New Testament is descriptive.
Right.
And not prescriptive. So this guy had posted a passage of, maybe 5 or so scriptures. Mm-hmm. And he was saying it to compare that. He goes, look, the Bible told us all about what's going on now in the government. And I looked at it and I said, no, that's descriptive. That's not prescriptive.
That was God talking about Israel.
Well, in this particular...
Specifically.
In this one, I'm like, look who it's talking about.
Yeah.
And I said, look at the very first line, because the very first line says, and then it came to pass.
Which means
that happened.
In the past.
So what you're reading about is something that has already occurred.
And it was specific to that time.
To that time
right.
and those people
right.
groups.
Yeah.
So, I said, what you're reading is descriptive, not prescriptive.
Yeah.
And he's like, he had given me some response and I forget
what. Well, this is the whole, God never changes.
Right.
So he's going to deal with everyone the exact same way.
Right. Well, I said, but I said, even if he wanted to bring it there, I said, well, none of what you shared here, because he brought it, he goes, well, don't we learn from history? Aren't we supposed to learn from history? And I said, yes, but all you provided in this passage mm-hmm. was specifically what happened.
Right.
Nothing in this passage says how they responded to that.
Right. Right.
To say, okay, well, maybe they responded this way, so this is what happened. Well, maybe we need to respond this way if we want that to happen. Mm-hmm. All he gave was the data of what happened.
Right.
Not the responses, not the... Right. So how are we supposed to learn?
Right.
Or how are we supposed to use that history? Because it is true. Mm-hmm. Those who don't learn history are doomed to repeat it.
Right.
So I understand that totally, but he didn't give us anything to... So I'm like, so why are you sharing this passage if you're not giving us any of that? All you're giving us is a description of an event.
Right.
Okay. Right. And then he's like, well, it talks about corrupt government. And I'm like, there's always been corrupt government.
Yeah.
This isn't... it's always been corrupt.
Anytime that there is a structure with authority, any authority, whether it is Rome or Lord of the Flies or, a sibling hierarchy.
There's going to be some level of corruption.
Yeah. Sorry.
So,
I mean, that reminds me of one of the churches that we used to go to. The lady was telling me about, when they were building the church and it was up and we were there for a prayer meeting and I heard from God and he told me, just like the children of Israel marched around the walls of Jericho 7 times and blew the trumpets, we drove around this church 7 times and blew our car horns. Okay. And then the 7th time, we blew it 7 times. And I'm like, did you want the walls of the church to collapse? Because that's why God told them to do it in Jericho. How do you take that and apply it to this situation? Really? So, kooky. Knock it off. So, all that to say this. Okay? I'm a Christian. I have my beliefs. I have my convictions. Whatever I feel about the coming administration, I am praying for them to be beneficial and successful for our nation and for the world. Mm-hmm. Just like I prayed for the last guy that was in here, who I may or may not have agreed with half or any.
I don't think there's any politician that anybody agrees with 100%.
I don't agree with myself 100%.
Well, I do because I'm perfect. So
I agree with you more than I agree with me. But yeah, so that is what we're saying today. It actually felt good to get back into this for a little bit.
Yeah, we haven't done this in a while.
We've done the movie thing and we've been fun and everyone's doing it. You got 45,000 podcasts talking about the same 60 films right now because there's nothing coming out. So if you want me to go and talk about Wonder Woman, we could do that again. I prefer not, but
I don't. You listeners can't. You might have been able to hear our voices get a little bit more excited and just kind of.
Yeah, I was watching the sound wave.
But the thing you can't see is we are actually both sitting up right now.
Yeah.
Before we were kind of more relaxed and back, but now we're like.
Yeah, this is our wheelhouse.
Well, I mean, this is the way we talk driving to church.
Yeah.
You and me in the front seat just.
Yeah. But. Yeah. So, you know what? Let's leave it at this. Guys, you are awesome. Thank you for coming back and listening week after week after week. Tell your friends about us. We're going to keep bringing you new stuff. Listen to last show at the Rio. Listen to Killian's podcast. Hybrid Anime. Go to Hybrid Anime YT YouTube channel. Check out our YouTube channel and everything else.
Like, don't go to work. Just do all this stuff.
Yeah, who
needs to work?
Half of y'all are still in lockdown anyway, so. But, guys, I love you. Be decent to each other.
Peace.